Hi, I'm Mark Taylor, and it's time again for the Mark Taylor Show. This week's guest is John Gardner. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm turn the tables on you a little bit here.
A little bit, because normally I'm the
yeah,
other
you're
chair.
doing this as well. I'm sure people will recognize John as a TV personality with the station and many years of doing photography around the area and everything.
And not to mention causing trouble.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we don't have that going on here tonight. I brought you on here to talk about not a real nice subject, but something that you're familiar with, and that's cancer.
I've been involved with cancer for about 18 years now.
Involuntarily?
Involuntarily. My mom.
Well, some of it was, I should say.
Well, it started out involuntarily, and 18 years ago, Mom was diagnosed about this time of year.
Okay.
And we did a 4-year battle with cancer, and it was one called multiple myeloma. It attacks both soft and hard tissue, and in the end, she passed away 14 years ago now.
Okay.
And out of that process, there was a lot of community giving. There was a lot of community involvement. And one thing that I can never forget is just how incredible a county I live in.
Right.
Because all the way across the county, people were involved. And somewhere along the line, early on, we encountered a group which is unique to Charlotte County called Charlotte County Cancer.
Okay.
And the only place where such an organization exists like that is here in Charlotte County. And their goal is to support patients with cancer right here at home.
Right.
And
moral support, financial support,
moral
whatever.
support, financial support. Sometimes when you're going through it, you just need to hear how other people are going through it.
Yeah.
And because of the network that was in existence here, you know, that was part of the process. The other thing is that early on, Mom was having bone marrow transplant, and in order to do that, she had to take meds before she went to Halifax to have it done. Dad went into the drugstore to pick up this prescription, and he was expecting that the insurance would cover it.
Right.
Well, he had a $9 copay at the time, and he was $7,990 short.
Uh-oh.
So he was kind of like, okay, now what do I do? How do I get through this? What do we sell? Do we mortgage the house?
Yep.
All of those things, because she had to have this basically to survive. So after he found out and he didn't get the meds that day, he got a phone call from the drugstore the next day, and they said, you know, come pick up your meds, they're ready. And Dad's like, well, I'm still trying to figure out how to raise the money. And they said, oh, well, don't worry about it, it's all paid for.
Wow.
And Dad's kind of like, this is...
Yeah, that's a mistake.
That doesn't happen. You know, did somebody really mess up on that bill? And Charlotte County Cancer was the reason why it was paid for.
Wow.
All of the pharmacies in Charlotte County have accounts with Charlotte County Cancer, so if there's a patient,
deficiency or something that you have,
then,
as far as money goes,
then they just bill it off to Charlotte County Cancer, and Charlotte County Cancer covers the bill.
Wow.
And so that was our first experience, and over the next 4 years, we had a lot of experience with Charlotte County Cancer.
Okay.
And when Mom passed away, of course, it was, you know, it's a difficult time, but at the same point in time, you want to at least say thank you to everybody who was involved. Well, when you've got a whole entire county involved in a process,
how are you going to do it?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
And I was actually down on the river, just outside of St. George, in a kayak, and there was a bunch of us there, and Winnie Hooper was there, and we were talking about, you know, how do we say thank you? And at the time, her brother-in-law, Larry Stewart, was also starting a battle with cancer as well. And she said, look, I got a great idea. She said, have a walk. You can make a lot of money with a walk.
Yeah.
Now, this is only a one-time event, and we had a goal between, we could maybe get like $1,000, maybe even $1,500 out of this.
Right.
So I said, okay, this is a great idea.
And how long ago would this have been?
This would have been in September of 2002.
Okay. Yep.
And so, yeah, that was a great idea, but, things were happening and there was a lot going on. And of course, she got Larry's wife, Carol, involved.
Yep.
And Carol had to get her daughter, Sonia Vance, involved. And,
right.
And then Marilyn Hawkins, she just jumped in because, a sister,
yep.
right?
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another, and we decided to have the first walk in September of
2002.
2003.
Okay.
So it was a year after Mom passed.
Okay.
And I'm going into that walk with still that goal in my head and thinking, what if nobody shows up?
Yeah.
What if we don't get $1,000? We're going to look stupid.
It flops.
And the whole thing is going to flop.
Yeah.
And so when I arrived at the venue that day, and it was in St. George, and I was expressing my concern, and they said, well, we're over the 1,000. That's not even in the ballpark anymore. And as the money started rolling in that day, when we got to the 10,000 mark,
wow,
I was like,
beyond your wildest dreams.
It was like, what do I say? Where do I go from here? And we ended up with $23,000.
Holy.
So the walk, the next year, people started talking about the walk again, and
because it creates some buzz on its own, right?
It created buzz all on its own.
Yeah. If you get people, because they're word of mouth, right?
It's word of mouth, but the other thing is that everybody has somebody that
yep.
they know. There's a family member that's either battling it or has gone through it or has lost it.
Yep.
And you start getting people wanting to come together and wanting to talk about it, yep. wanting to share,
right,
and wanting to give back.
Yeah, even if it's buying tickets or on the 50-50 or whatever. I mean, people will pay and will come to help.
Well, when they started talking about it, a year later, and I'm going, let's everybody just stop for a second here.
Yeah.
This is a one-time event, and we've done it. Yes, but
yeah.
we've been having raffles and bake sales and yard sales and all of this, and we've got to continue. So, okay, we'll do it again. And we went over 30,000 that year, and it just continued to grow and to grow and to grow. And but I never set a goal.
No. Well, the first one you did.
The first one I had a
$1,000.
$1,000, and boy was I happy when we beat it.
Yeah.
And so in the 5th year, it was going to be the 50th anniversary of Charlotte County Cancer, and it was going to be the 5th year of Walk 'Cause We Care. So I set a goal of 50,000. Well, that was 73,000.
Holy smokes!
So when year 9 rolled around, I said, okay, now I'm really going to push the envelope here.
Right.
What I'm going to do is, at the end of the walk, I'm going to challenge everybody for next year, for year 10, that $100,000.
Okay.
That was the goal. Year 10, 100,000. I was giving people a year to get that money together. Yep. And in year 9, when we did the big reveal, there was 6 figures.
Holy!
We had just topped 100,000.
Wow! And
last year was our 13th. And remember, this was a one-time event.
Yeah. Yes.
So our 13th year, we were at 123,000.
Wow.
And 4 communities now.
Yep.
Still in St. George.
Right.
St. Andrews, St. Stephen, and now in Graham and Ann.
Okay.
Hundreds of people come out every year for this event. They will actually start planning and organizing and getting their teams ready.
Almost immediately after it's over, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the walk is going to happen the first Saturday in October. It does every year now. But, everybody just kind of goes at the end of it, and then 2 weeks later, you hear about the first fundraiser, because the teams are competing, and there's people that put in huge teams.
Yep.
And every year it just kind of surprises
Well, we
me.
were talking to Paula Clinch earlier.
Paula Clinch, Fight Like a Girl.
Yep.
And last year,
she's got one of the largest numbers.
It was like 100 people were in that team.
Yep.
And they just filled the ball field in St. George and brought in a good amount of money. Actually, they brought in about $21,000, which was almost as much as the whole walk did back in year one.
Wow.
So it's been quite a journey.
What's your role on the? Is it a committee, a board? What do you call it?
There is a committee,
okay.
And the original committee is still there.
Okay.
We add to it kind of as needed, but still.
Are you the chairman or
I think I'm more of an honorary co-chair along with the ladies at this point.
Okay.
There's a lot of work that goes into something like this, and I really have to give credit to the people right across the county.
Yeah, because you're just one person.
I'm one person in the whole big system, and in the ground in each community there will be people who will say, I want to have a walk here.
Yep.
And they'll take over the organization and put everything together, and on walk day the magic happens.
Well, what they needed though, and I'm not, this is the way I see it from afar, is they needed somebody to go in and spearhead it. I mean, that's where you come in. I mean, you're I don't want to sound like a smart aleck or anything, but you got the voice. You don't mind speaking up and talking about things. So I'm being very politically correct here, John. So you don't mind rocking boats.
I've been called other things.
Okay, but this is family TV.
But yes, I am normally the one who stirs things up and gets things moving. And like I said, I have an amazing team of people who are doing this. And actually, in St. George, on walk day, we move into the venue early in the morning, and you.
This is Fundy High,
actually no, it's at the Macadam place now.
Yep.
And I was at the Fundy for a number of years, and I moved over the past couple of years. But we walk into an empty room.
Yep.
And tables start, coming out, and we build a front office and we build a back office, and the crew that's in the back office, they've been there every year, and some of the people who've been in front office have been there every year. I mean, the same people are coming back year after year. They love the involvement, they love doing what they're doing, and it's just amazing to see and watch it all unfold.
Well, as you noted, it's hard to there's nobody that's not affected by it.
No.
Everybody has got got a story that they can tell their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their wife, their husband.
The neighbors.
The neighbors, whatever, yeah.
And that's exactly what we're hearing, is we are hearing those stories.
Right.
And we are seeing people coming year after year, and sometimes they're coming because somebody they know has it. Some years, unfortunately, they come back because they now have a memorial team in.
Right.
And but you know what? There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of smiles.
Yep.
It's wonderful to see. You'd mentioned Paula Clinch earlier.
Right.
She's actually 5 years now.
Yep.
So this walk is going to be a 5-year anniversary for her.
Right.
And that's pretty amazing to see and to hear. And in years past, we were there during the process.
Yep.
And now to see that happening, and it's pretty cool. And people say, well, how much money do you have to raise to be part of it? I don't care.
You just come if you want to.
I just want to see bodies. I want to see people on the field.
Yep. Buy a ticket. I mean, there's tickets in the 50-50. There's all kinds of fundraisers.
Oh, there's all kinds of fundraisers for all kinds of teams.
Right.
And people are out there,
If I'm not mistaken, this 50-50 is 4-figure, right? I mean, if you win it, you're going to take a good tidy sum of money home.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to go out and have something nice to eat.
You're going to be able to go out and have a nice dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. So where is the money spent? It's it all in Charlotte County?
Over the years, Walk As We Care has become the largest fundraising event in Charlotte County.
Okay. Yep.
And the money that comes in, at the end of the day, we turn that all over to Charlotte County Cancer.
Okay.
And like I said before, Charlotte County Cancer is unique. It's not affiliated with anybody else. It's Charlotte County.
Right.
You know, we look after our own. And Charlotte County Cancer, back in the day, back in 2002, had a $40,000 a year budget, and they supported cancer patients. And now it's about 175.
Wow.
And
this is all private or corporate donation, right? This is nothing coming from the government or anything like that?
There's no government funding. It's not coming from anywhere else but out of the pockets of the people here in the county.
Right.
And so, you know, when you take 14 years with climbing numbers,
price of everything goes up too. So if you didn't, then you'd be losing the battle, right?
It's not just that, but I mean, when you consider it, we're looking at something in the range of $1 million that has been given voluntarily.
Yep.
By the people of Charlotte County. The money that's going to Charlotte County Cancer is all just going right back out the door to cancer patients.
How do they get in touch with you? Do you hear stories like I hear so and so is battling, they've got this, and this? How do you get your hands on the money, I guess is what
how do we get the money out there?
Yep.
It's very interesting because we don't have forms to fill out. There's not a lengthy questionnaire.
Right.
We do like to hear two things. Number one, that there's a need.
Right.
And number two, how are you doing? A lot of times we're hearing about patients through the pharmacies.
Okay.
So-and-so has cancer. They came in. They can't afford their meds. Can you help? Sometimes family members will get a hold of us. I got a call the other night from a young woman, and letting me know that her mom, she had cancer before. It's back.
Okay.
And I absolutely love this because they had a fundraiser for her when she was battling cancer before, and she didn't spend all the money. Because once she was clear, well, she couldn't spend the money on anything else because people raised it for her cancer battle. So she had put it away.
Okay.
I mean, this is the type of people I'm working with here.
Yeah.
She put it away because, and not even knowing what she was going to spend it on.
Yeah.
And so when she was diagnosed again, she reached back into the box and she said, here's the envelope for my cancer battle, and she has used as much of that as she can. Right. And she had everything all budgeted out. And I know this one personally. I know this is the way she acts. And she said, but she's in the course of her scheduled treatment, she figures she's going to come out $200 short. So she told her daughter, and her daughter gets a hold of me and she says, if you could just help, just, do you think it's possible, that we could maybe get a couple $100?
Wow.
And that'll get her through, So it wasn't that there was this huge request, because
at least there's not people that are abusing it. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because I'm sure it does, but you are dealing with salt of the earth people.
You're dealing with people. A lot of times they're not coming forward and saying, can you help?
Yeah.
It's
even an anonymous or something, right?
It's the caregivers, it's the insurance companies. Yep. And that's the other thing too. I have absolutely no idea who are helping. I now sit on the board of Charlotte County Cancer, but I don't know who are helping. Why? Because it is an anonymous service.
Okay.
And so there's no stigma.
There's somebody that does know.
There's somebody who does know.
Yep.
Obviously somebody's signing some checks somewheres.
Yep.
It's not in our corporate office because we don't have an office.
Okay.
We have no employees.
Right.
It's all volunteer. So in operating something of this magnitude, there has to be some overhead.
Yep.
There has to be some cost involved.
Yep.
And we have about a 4% cost.
Okay.
Which, when you look at other organizations, we've managed to cut everything right to the bone.
I dare say.
Like I said, with no office or employees or anything, and we don't get good dinners neither. I'll just tell you that much.
Okay.
And
maybe if you win the 50-50,
maybe if you win the 50-50. I cannot.
Oh, you can't even buy tickets.
I can't even buy a ticket. I'm excluded. But no, it's quite a thing to see and to hear the stories.
I was going to say there's probably a multitude of success stories, right? I mean, there
is.
Obviously, there's some that didn't end well.
There absolutely is, and on walk day, those stories come out, and they come out in droves, and it's always a very emotional day,
right?
Because you're getting to see all these people. A lot of times we're just hearing about them. Sometimes we're meeting them for the first time.
Okay.
And there's a lot of hugs. There's a lot of tears.
Sometimes you're meeting them for the 14th time.
And sometimes we're meeting them for the 14th time.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
We really are. And, like I said, there's people that are out there every single year, back again. And it's just amazing to see them and to hear those stories and see how they're doing, see how the family's doing. It's really heartwarming.
When you're obviously, I think you've probably you've done, obviously when you're talking about your mom and yourself, that you've done some research on how cancer works, and what it can do to people. It's bad news. I mean, it's all the way around. When you get that word itself, it's a debilitating disease for sure.
Well, the fun or the interesting part, it's not fun. There's nothing fun about the story. But with cancer is actually an umbrella term.
Yep.
That covers a multitude of actual diseases. So you're talking about something as simple as a common wart to something that's all invasive and destroying bone tissue or soft tissue or whatever. And there is no one thing we can point to and say, this is cancer.
Yeah.
Everything has a name. And when my mom was diagnosed, and she was in hospital, and the doctor came into the room and said she has something called multiple myeloma.
And you're sitting there going, oh, okay, I don't have a PhD, so.
And I'm going, there's nothing going on up there.
Yeah.
And so
it's a moment you'll never forget either.
It's a moment
when you hear those words. It's
but it didn't register.
No. But when they dumbed it down for you.
When they dumbed it down for me, it didn't register.
Yeah.
So a good friend of mine, she took me out in the hall and she said, we need to go for a little walk now. So it was Melba Anderson, and she walked me down the hall and she said, okay, here's what you need to know to get through today.
Yeah, tomorrow's another day.
Your mom has cancer. That's what that means. So I collapsed.
Yeah.
And when we started into the process and they were having a fundraiser for Mom, and they asked me to speak. Seriously, they handed me a mic.
Yeah.
I know.
The gall of some people.
But one of the hardest parts of that, because I could say multiple myeloma.
Yeah.
It has a whole bunch of syllables.
Yeah.
And way too many M's.
Yeah.
And I could say it. I couldn't say cancer.
Right.
It took me days to brace myself to actually say that word publicly.
Wow. Yeah.
Because that's the most scary word in the English language, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
And but we hear it every day, and
all too often.
All too often.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that the people in this county are coming together.
Yep.
And they're supporting each other, and they are just an incredible place to be and to live.
We're lucky, John.
Oh, absolutely. And and we all have our battles and we all have our hardships.
Yep.
But in the long run, at the end of the day, we've got an incredible bunch of people that live here, and they look after each other,
Yep.
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that you've done so many of these half-hour shows yourself. You know how fast they can go. This has gone by really fast, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. And of course, we've known each other for a million years now. So, but really appreciate your story, and keep it up. Obviously.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Right on.
All right.
This has been another episode of the Mark Taylor Show. Please join in next week. Thank you.